Waiting for the wheel. Okay, we are recording. Welcome to the CrossFit Canada podcast, a place for Canadian affiliate owners and coaches. And I have two of the best of each with me today as we talk about the new level 4. So with me is Thom Wendelboe from Breaker Strength, Matthieu Dubreucq from CrossFit 1966. I can't pronounce it. Jim Matthieu.
Yeah, look, it's there. L'Atelier. But workshop.
Is that the town?
No. That's just the town is Laval. L'Atelier means workshop.
Oh, cool.
And so it's like a workshop for your body or right type of thing.
Very, very cool. So we, and Doobie had this grand ambition years ago to have Canada be the best credentialed country per capita. And Thom is underway with that because we have the new level 4 underway. So what we're going to talk about is all of our experiences with it. And but first, I do want to, and I don't know if it's like going back in time, not needed, but let's talk about the original level 4 just as a kickoff to share our experiences, because it's cool. It was something very cool, something all three of us went through, and it'll be a good way to kick the discussion off. So Thom, kick us off. And where did you do your level 4 and your original, and something interesting or fun from that experience?
I've done it. I've failed it, not done it. I've failed it twice so far. There's a third time's the charms, what they say.
Okay.
The first time I did it, it was one of the first ones offered in Utah. The gym doesn't exist anymore, and I don't remember the name. Okay. I think it was no longer in beta, but it was pretty much in beta. I coached 15 people, and it was a fun experience. I didn't go in with any expectations. I hadn't had any mentorship or feedback, and I just kind of wanted an excuse to coach some other people and start the process to get a little bit better. And it was a great learning experience, and I really enjoyed it. I did give feedback afterwards on it. It was one of the few times I was like, man, I think I didn't do my best. I wasn't a great coach, but I had to coach a workout, and I guess we can talk about it now because that's the old level 4. But I had to coach a workout with ring muscle ups to, I think, 14 or 15 people. It was before they reduced the cap, and I had 3 sets of rings. Right. And so my feedback was like, hey, guys, I didn't coach my best, and a great coach would have been able to solve this problem. And now I think I could probably manage it a little bit better. But I went in with the assumption that there would be like the level 2 requirements for the affiliate, and there wasn't that. And then I got like a message being like, hey, you're right. Like that was some good feedback, because it was really hard to pre-plan your class because you're only allowed 30 minutes in the gym. It was really hard to pre-plan a class without knowing what equipment they had or the layout. So, cool. But I enjoyed it. And then afterwards it inspired me. And I think I worked with a mentor from the CrossFit Global Mentorship Program. I believe I was like one of the first people to really push for getting it because they had talked about it. And I just kept bugging Denise about it. I was like, yo, I want this. I want this. I want this. And I worked with Pete Shaw for a while. And it was a really good experience. And I improved my coaching a lot. And then I went to CrossFit Roots to do a second attempt. And I was really excited. But I was so nervous. I think it's probably the 2 worst classes I've coached since like 2012. Like after the first one, I was like, this was worse than the first time I did it. Right. It was like the first time you go in, you're just like, man, I know how to do coaching. And you make some like hilarious mistakes you would never make now. But I was so loose. It was okay. The second time I was so nervous. I think I scored worse the second time. And I was like, well, it is what it is. And then so I just kept working with Pete, and here I am now trying a third time.
Nice.
Yeah.
Doobie, your first, and you went through the in-person one twice as well. So first and then second experience.
Yeah. And if we make the story of a level 4, prior to that level 4 that we both did, that is now retired, and there's the new one, there was another one. There was another one that was called the level 2.
Oh, the coach's prep course.
No. Before that. And that was the highest potential you could get. There was a 17% or something, like passing rate. Like people were crying. Like it was crazy. And that's what gave birth to that new level 4 that we both Thom and I both did it twice, and then that now is like leading into the next wave of iteration of the level 4. So, well, similar to Thom, I went in the first time thinking, hey, I know CrossFit, I know coaching, let's go. And then you make some silly mistakes, same thing. Maybe it was a little bit different than his experience, like in terms of I wasn't very pleased with the experience, the overall experience. Like, you show up, like you said, you don't have a lot of time.
Yeah.
You don't get to meet your evaluators really, or to learn from the experience. You just show your craft. You don't have it, and they're just like, they basically write down, your grades on, like, teaching, seeing, correcting, class management, presence, and
clicking that pen, it seems like just
and you basically you suck at everything, right? So you kind of had that bitter taste, like, because you're like, I get it, I'm not the best coach, but man, how am I gonna get better? Right? That was my big question. Like, and so I guess everyone figured that out with, like, you need mentors, and you go find that, like, either in the CrossFit ecosystem, like of CrossFit LLC, or outside of the ecosystem. But you figure out, like, you need someone that understands coaching better than you to help you out. And so I did it a second time, and then this time in Montreal, I was lucky. We organized one with CrossFit Wonderland, and that time passed. But I think CrossFit recognized that the experience wasn't the best. Like, it was great as an assessment tool, but it wasn't necessarily great for, if I talk as the affiliate owner of Gym Atelier, CrossFit 1966, of course, I would like all my coaches to be level 4s, but with that old level 4, I would wait a long time to prep them and make sure that they go there knowing everything and having a real shot at making it. And so I think that would slow down the process and their excitement, because it would probably take years after getting the level 3. Where what I think that, and that's why I'm very excited with that new level 4, is having, and we'll talk about it. I mean, we can say it, I'm an assessor, like, for the new level 4. So I do help people going through the process of prepping and bettering their coaching before the evaluation. And I wasn't sold on it at first, right? Because, and I'm sure Thom has that feeling too, if you tried the old one, and if you tried the old one too, you tried the old one too, Matt, like, you're like, oh man, it's so hard, and I'd be so proud to get it. I don't want this thing to be a bit easier. But so I was a little bit reluctant at first, like, with that new idea of this is going to be online. And in my head, I'm like, it's going to be in your gym. It's going to be with your people. You can choose the workout. It's going to be a lot easier.
Yeah.
But then, having gone through the process now of helping people going through, it is incredible the improvement there is from the first time you meet the coach and when you let them go to, because you're like, okay, now you go do your evaluation. Pass or fail, 100% of the people that have been in the process are improving, but like times 10 for a few reasons. Their improvement is not only tangible, but it's also applicable to their environment. And I think this is huge because, yes, okay, I passed my level 4 in a different gym that has a different culture, that has different athletes. And yes, that shows I can adapt and I have a good seeing and correcting and all this. But I really had to adapt to a testing environment type of thing. Where now with a new level 4, you got to show ultimate proficiency in your own house, right? And the evaluator and the assessors know you're in your house, right? So they know you know where the radio is. They know you know the name of the people. So you need to do even better. And so I wouldn't be able to say if it's easier or harder than the old one, but it's definitely, I think, much better for the community. And now as a gym owner, I I mean, as soon as someone has been level 3, I'm like, you're going into the level 4.
Yeah.
Let's go.
I said the same thing to my coaches. So let's before we get right into that, like, let's help folks understand. So basically, before, what happened, you would book your level 4 based on the location. You would have the list just like your level 1 and level 2 of in-person places, and it would be anywhere in North America. I flew out to Seattle because actually flights were cheaper to Seattle from Toronto than Montreal. And so you pick a gym that you potentially have no idea about. I mean, Thom, we know CrossFit Roots is CrossFit Roots. I went to Jesse Ward's gym in in Seattle. Old school CrossFit gym, as Doobie smiles. But we're like, what do we do about getting what the place looks like? So I was fortunate enough, I went on Google, and like a year earlier, he had a 3D tour done of the gym. So I made a paper layout of the gym. Then, so we have the logistics of like having to go to a place. Then you got your workouts delivered to you about, I think, 3 or 4 days in advance.
Yeah, they said I think 24 hours, but they gave it to, I got both times a little bit earlier.
Yeah.
It was enough time to write a lesson plan.
You could write a lesson plan with a gym that you think you had, you knew the stuff, and then it was you weren't sure how many people would show up.
Yeah.
As well. And in the interest, so then the interesting part about Jesse's gym, a much smaller gym, he struggled to get people to fill the minimum requirement for the classes. And this isn't a knock on the gym at all, but it was just, so I coached a few people twice.
Oh, and yeah.
So that was interesting about that aspect that way. So, and then same idea. I equated it to the experience felt once you're in it, because I think, Thom and I especially, and Doobie, you're on seminar staff. Thom, you and I are both very self-aware that I think we can like know what's happening as it's happening.
Oh, yeah.
And I equated it to take a bucket of Lego, put it across the gym floor, and coach in your socks.
Yeah.
Like trying to, yeah, go ahead.
I agree. I to Doobie's comment earlier about that was my thing with the online thing too, was like, oh, this is going to be easier. And like, I was kind of like, cause we've just talked about it. It was really hard. Like, that's what you're saying. It was super hard, but in my head, it was like, I want to be able to do this. And a part of me is still like, I kind of wish I would have to do that. Like, right. And so like, I wasn't, I guess like my mindset towards it is always like, this is a challenge. And I didn't put much self-worth in passing it, if that makes sense. I wanted to pass it, but I didn't take the feedback that I was bad at coaching. I may be mediocre, maybe good, but my members seem happy enough. So like it works for me, but just the coaching, the assessing as you coach was so hard. Like the Lego thing was so hard.
Yeah.
But like a part of me, just going what Doobie said, is like, man, I kind of wish I still had to do that, because I've been working now for like a year, whatever, to try and be able to do that. But, and just to build on that, I think it almost now would, I don't know if I would be more upset though if I had passed that like harder version. I don't know if it is harder or not. I was like in your own gym, like doing the assessments with my assessor. I was much more confident with the process than I would have been in another gym. But I agree with what Doobie was saying, is I also really enjoyed how I was able to like tweak my members based on my assessor's feedback and then apply it to them when they were coaching. Like an example would be, I got feedback on someone's movement quality and I got like a tip to improve it. And then so the next time I coached them in class with a similar movement, I tried that tip from my assessor, and it made a huge difference.
Yeah.
Right. And so that would be the benefit of that online version and just in the gym. So I can see both sides where it's like, man, that version, I think I haven't passed my online version yet, but I think what I've done so far and in my own facility it does feel easier, maybe because I'm just more confident in my facility versus especially my first experience where I had no idea what was going on.
And so I feel like, and that's the thing, right? Is like, there is this kind of like perspective of, man, it just, and Doobie was saying about the original like level 2, you know, is people wanted it because it was hard, but almost like early adopter CrossFit days, it's going to attract the people who are really intense about coaching. But in the previous structure, Doobie, was it going to make the community of CrossFit overall better?
I think that even so old level 2 that became the level 4, and then that old level 4 in person was, we can argue, probably a little bit too stuck in the old CrossFit where, yes, if you want to go at the peak, you're going to take it upon yourself to travel and go find the right people to help you. And that's exactly what people used to do. In the old days, people used to go retake their level 1 multiple times.
Yeah.
Right? Like, just to be able to be in the presence of seminar staff and like coach and all these people. Like, we don't see that anymore. Even in the most willing, coaches, just because it evolved and now there's a lot more people. So I do think that the old way wasn't going to be scalable if we wanted to be able to do it in a way that it's still very hard. And we can't have the majority of people to have a level 4. That's not the point. Like, we don't want to water down the quality. We do want to remove the barriers to entry, right? So just like Thom says, like, the barrier of entry before, you almost need to do it 2 or 3 times before you feel semi-comfortable into that testing environment to be able to like start to improve. Man, if we, you both like flew to places, like, we're talking thousands and thousands of dollars.
Yeah.
Now, that's not everyone that's going to pursue that. Even if we could go into the argument that they all should and everyone should be like trying to be better and all this, I'm just saying the barrier of entry is huge. Even for me, that I had to like pay for registration and all that. Like, doing it twice was like costly. You gotta check with your family, and maybe we go to Sandbanks instead of going to somewhere else like on vacation because I need to do my level 4, right?
Yeah.
Nowadays, like, it's on par with like the other classes, and it removes also the barrier of entry of what maybe you guys don't realize, but the language.
Yeah.
Right. We allow people to coach in the language of their choice, and that's huge in a big part of Canada. That's huge in all Europe. That's huge in Latin America, where due to now AI and all this, the assessors can turn on like, the automatic caption, translation. And so we'll get people speaking Dutch, French, Spanish, like Cantonese, doesn't matter. We can still assess. And then, of course, the meeting will need to be in English or in the language that is available. Like, if someone is French speaking, they're going to, of course, CrossFit is going to make sure that I'm available. So this way we can do it in French and vice versa for people in Spanish. But that really reduces the barrier of entry in terms of learning the language, right? And I know many of my friends, in Quebec would probably fail the level 4 right away simply just on speaking improper English.
When I was at Roots, there were a couple other people doing their L4 assessment, and they were from Brazil, and I was like, that's crazy to me. That's insane that you're even attempting that. Like, I barely make sense when I'm coaching in English half the time, right? Doing it in another language, I couldn't imagine, especially in that environment.
Yeah. So that old one, again, you would coach those 2 classes in a day, usually about 2 hours apart. And you would have half hour at the start, and then it was basically like, see ya, like shake everyone's hand, thank you. And again, if you're coming back and be like, okay, we'll see you in an hour, and really like clean up, but sometimes they'll actually like clean up for you, and right. And that part. And I was leaving for after finishing my second one, and a guy out the back door, and a guy was going in the front door. I'm like, good luck, bro. Got in the car and went on our way. And then, at least for me, you know, I flew home that next morning, and by the time the plane landed, I had my results, and I had my fail, and I had my feedback, and then again, one thing that was really good about the old version of the level 4 was you did get a free feedback session with a coach, and with your notes and things like that, and so there was lots of gold, I think, to be found in those notes. And then so now they're saying, well, let's help people get to the answers faster, right? And there's no, yes, it's hard, but at the same time, it's like success should be discussed a little bit differently, in the sense of, are we taking someone from being a good coach to a great coach through this process? I would say yes, absolutely. So Duby, let's talk big picture. You know, as you are an assessor, you know this program. What's the big picture of the program when someone hits register?
When someone hits register, they're gonna need to okay, there's two big things happening. There's going to be 3 sessions where you're submitting some videos, a class, and you're going to receive some feedback. And these sessions are also always proceed with modules that, for most of participants, are things they know, but it just revives, you know, and recalibrates, you know, what you're about to be evaluated on or receiving feedback on, right? It kind of sets the lens that the assessor is going to watch your video by. Yeah. And then you have the evaluation. So it's 2 distinct process. So before, there used to be the evaluation, and then if you don't pass, you have feedback. Now you have 3 full sessions of prep, and then you have the evaluation. And we can even say it's already built in also that if you don't pass the first time, you don't even need to redo the full thing. You can get an extra session of feedback and then prep again to be able to resubmit. So it's a much more let's hold your hand process.
Yeah.
And because there are 2 distinct steps, you're going to be with an assessor that's going to work with you, and that person has nothing to do and no contact with your evaluator, which truly allows that assessor and participant to talk about the real stuff, right? If you know I'm going to evaluate you and I'm your assessor, you're not going to show your weaknesses, right?
Yeah.
If you know that I have nothing to do with the evaluation and you struggle with the squat snatch or you struggle with high-end gymnastic, then you should, like, boom, right away, let's do this. So then this way you can receive some feedback, constructive feedback, and be able to improve. So big picture, that's what you do 3 times. So your first class, you're a little bit in the dark, right? You just record your class. This is how I coach, right? You don't have information on all this except like how to record it. Then you do some modules, you meet with your assessor, you get some feedback, you get some homeworks, you get 2 more modules, and then you record another class, you meet with your assessor again, boom, same process again. So we do 3 meetings, and then after you go for evaluation, and hopefully
get that thumbs up.
Yeah.
So Thom, for you then, not specifically what workout you did, because I don't think that's important to the big picture, but for those to understand the nuts and bolts, they give you some parameters about basically people need to stay in video the whole time. You can't have your assault bike set up in the other gym and have them go do their stuff and then come back in. But a minimum of 4 people and to a maximum of 10, I believe. And so Thom, for someone like you in the GTA, you may be thinking, oh man, sweet, I get to coach a fraction of the people I'm used to. So what was that experience first with the people, and then you got your feedback from your first assessment session? What was valuable to you on that first feedback session?
So yeah, when you signed up, you don't really have, well, now people hopefully will know. I didn't realize it was going to be such small groups. So I assumed, incorrect, made an ass out of myself and all of that. I assumed I could just film like every so often. I thought maybe it'd be 12. We have a 12-person class. I could just film that.
Yeah.
But because it's 4 to 10, like I haven't coached less than 12 people in a really long time. And normally it's more than that. I had to schedule separate classes, and I just had volunteers. I'd send email out, and I'd try to mix it up with people, but I'd normally get the same people always want to come in for it, no matter how I tried to sell it. But I found that it was really good because it allowed you to kind of like break into some maybe habits you've developed as someone who typically coaches like 16 to 20 people. There's some things you have to do when you coach 16 to 20 people that might not be best coaching practices. And because you're making choices with 20 people, you're going to develop bad habits, right? And so for instance, like I'm really pretty competent at going for low hanging fruit. Like if you have a front squat, we've talked about front squat, you have front squat, you have 20 people front squatting. The static faults on the front squat are pretty obvious. To give everyone some feedback on the static faults, really simple. And you can improve a lot of people's movement with just cleaning up their static, right? But then making sure you're focused on not just doing some dynamic cueing, but not just relying on verbal dynamic cueing, like preloading in some dynamic stuff that maybe you're going to be able to do in a big class, but not always, because as soon as you get in for that tactile feedback on the dynamic cue, you're shrinking your scope and you have 19, 20 people moving. So just having the opportunity to both be called out on that a little bit and then work through having the opportunity to really dial in that relentlessness, I felt was really useful. And I think that was probably the biggest kind of switch I had to make. And then once I made it, just getting some help from my assessor to do that, it's trickled back up into my bigger classes as well. Because I find that I coach a lot. It's really easy to get complacent. I find that like I can settle for good enough pretty simply, and then just get in some habits where like everyone's moving better than when they walked in. I was maybe 80% as relentless as I would have been with a smaller class, but I gave everyone 80% relentlessness, and it was a big class and everyone got something out of it. But then just being like finding instances where I can use that 100% relentlessness my assessor and I kind of talked about when it came to the dynamic. So the example I have is I was coaching front squat in one of my classes. And I cue in the elbow. So the point of performance was the elbows. And I had given everyone a verbal cue. And everyone got a little bit better, the people who needed to. But not everyone could have gotten a little bit more better. Betterer. And my assessor said, hey, why don't you next time give that person a tactile cue on that elbows as they squat and see if it could be even better. And so now and then they were really good at helping me. It's like, even in a bigger class, just pick one person who you think is going to drop their elbows and then just give them that cue before they even go. And then everyone else, and their point was everyone else is going to be on it happened, it zoomed in. It's fine. You guys get to see super face. Yeah. Everyone else is going to be really on the ball if they see you going around and doing that. And so it actually, when I coach front squats to a big group, I noticed that if I just jumped in with someone who I know usually drops their elbows a little bit, I watched everyone else get their elbows up way more. So that small class reminder really helped me like dial in some bigger class stuff too. If that makes sense.
Yeah, I mean, what I'm hearing is like, while yes, we'll call this more or less the tip of the spear in coaching, it's rooted in the fundamentals that we learn at the level 2. Mm-hmm. And so what I'm interested in, Dubreucq, as someone who does the level 2s and now the hybrids as well, are you seeing common things that you would see still at the level 2, maybe coaches at their first level 2, even at this level where they need to be reminded of those basics, but now you're also able to give them a chance to correct them before they move on? And because I feel like it's almost like Thom saying, it's like none of the feedback I got was things I didn't already know. It was just so nice to be reminded of it, to that I should be still focusing on that.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the level 1 is definitely years who we are here's the theory. Now go try to understand that theory. The level 2, we start to intro, and even though it might be overwhelming the first time you do your level 2, we only start to introduce all these concepts of seeing, correcting, teaching, group management, presence and attitude, and demonstration, because the entire weekend we do it in a non-class environment. It's always a drill.
Yeah.
It's always like some parameters. It's 1-on-1, or it's 1-on-4, or 1-on-8. It's like it's already been taught and you only see it. You don't need to see, you only teach. So it's really just the introduction of years. The way we found is the most effective to coach, but now you need to go practice that. Then the level 3, you really have, okay, show us that you know, right? It's just like, show us your knowledge, show us you know. And then the level 4 is truly now, show us you can apply what you know.
Yeah.
And so, of course, at the level 4, you'll have some similar feedback than at the level 2, but now in a very complex environment. Now in the actual thing. It's the actual class. And now, especially because we have a video, so I would even argue that sometimes it might be harder to do that new level 4 because of the video. I can go and say like, hey, listen, your incapacity in that, progression of teaching the rope climb there, of teaching them how to have a proper scale, completely derails the stimulus of a workout there. Now we can see it, and we have the luxury of being able to go back and know exactly when it happened. And so it might be a feedback like you need a better progression, which is like, yeah, I've heard that in my level 2. But now it's really in the scenario. Now on the opposite, and maybe that can speak to some people that might be a little bit grumpy about the CrossFit levels, which they are a lot, right? That sometimes they feel if it's not the CrossFit way, I'm not going to be able to pass, right? We always have people at a level 2, but like, but it's my way. It's my set of points of performance. I don't want to use.
Yeah.
And to a certain point in the level 4, if you don't teach it the way we do it, I don't care. I'm going to take a look at the actual result because I get the full class.
Mhm.
I mean, if at the end people move flawlessly at the right threshold, fitness is achieved and it's safe and fun is there, bonus, then I'm like, obviously it worked, right? So at the level 4, you really will probably be surprised that, just like Thom said, that because of your qualities, let's face it, anyone that's taking the level 4 has had some reasonable success coaching CrossFit. They might not be the best ones, and that's why they're good, because they know they're not the best one, but they're good. Like no one so far tackling the level 4 doesn't care, right? They all care about their coaching, but they all have super strengths. Some are amazing at teaching. And so they get away with not seeing and correcting the dynamic portion.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And so it's not a matter, do you do it the CrossFit way? Oh, I get it. You guys want to see and correct the dynamic. It's just look at what faults are still present. What is the way to be able to get rid of these faults? And usually we'll have to go back to that basic of the level 2, right? Tell, show, do, check, and seeing and correcting the thing that you taught. It just on another level, right? On the level of now it's within a class, and there's the snowball effect that if you don't do it somewhere, then it's like the good old overhead squat will punish your incapacity to air squat. Well, there you have that with your coaching, right? Even your incapacity to program the right warm-up is going to have a snowball effect that you don't have enough time or the right themes in place or whatever to be able to coach at the highest level in your specific coaching. And then people won't be able to apply with the right weight. They're going to go too light or too slow, etc. So yeah, it all ties up together, but it's definitely like the level 2 up, right? It's the same themes as the level 2, but it's at a very high level of execution. And to me, it's a little bit like, we're in the open season. It's like, yeah, you can do the open and be in the top 25%. Great. Good job. You're in quarterfinal. It's a whole different ball game to like make it to semis. And then, yeah, you can be good. Like you can be in semis, but it's a whole different ball game then to go to the games.
Yeah.
Right. But it's the same movements. It's the same points of performance. It's the same type of strategies. But there, it's really the same thing. The level 4 is like the games level, not literally, right? Because it's different. It's sports. I get it. But the equivalent of the games level coach versus like you have the level 1, you're in the open, right? You're signed up. Good job.
Yeah.
But level 2, you know, you start to do quarterfinals. Good job, right? But yeah, it doesn't change much. And I am very surprised how much these small little things, when applied, do a huge snowball effect. And that's what I'm the most impressed with, because now I get to see full classes of these people instead of at the level 2, I see little drills, right? And maybe in a little drill, Thom is amazing at seeing, correcting, like, you know, specifically the front squat. But now, how does it look like in a full class and as the ramp up of the workout and has at your capacity to set the tone for the threshold that you want to do, and etc. And no, I'm really, when I talked to you know, we have debriefs and all this about the level 4, I'm extremely happy, not necessarily as the assessor of a person that works in the level 4. I'm extremely happy as the gym owner. Like I couldn't be more fired up to get my coaches through that process, right? Which, like I said, wasn't necessarily true before.
I agree with that. I have my head coach. He's L3. He's on the wait list. Like, I was like, hey, because I got the email as someone who's failed their L4 twice. I got like a discount, which I thought was nice. You know, you failed your L4 twice. Here's a discount. Why don't you try a third time? I like that. And I was like, hey, his name's Brandon. I was like, Brandon, why don't I sign up and then we'll just sign you up down the road? But same thing. I wouldn't have sent him to another gym, not for a long time.
That's it.
Right. Yeah. And I would argue that in our gym, he's a better coach than I am most of the time. But the type of coach he is in that environment, I don't think another gym would be his best suited situation. And like,
and as a gym owner, right? Yeah. I mean, because we both talked about what you said, like, I wish I could do the other one of it, because that's a personal quest.
Yeah, exactly. And that's, this is way better. This is way better for CrossFit. It's way better for like the quality of coaching across CrossFit gyms, which is something I'm very passionate about. I just don't have very much left in my life to be competitive about or have a goal. And having the hardest thing of the thing I'm the most passionate about outside of my like family as like this thing I wanted to pass. And I have a couple friends who passed it and I didn't. So there was like a chip on my shoulder about it. And then just getting that, it's my own thing. But no, I agree. And I'm fired up for him to do it when he does get off the wait list, because I think like we give each other feedback, but an outside view is great. When I was working I had a mentor from CrossFit named Pete Shaw, like about halfway through, I was like, hey, why don't Brandon and I both work with you? And we just go back and forth. And it was great having to go through that with him. So I'm excited for him to go through it once he gets off the wait list. And I think it's going to be great. I would love, because the way the course, and I don't think we've really talked too much about it, the way it's laid out in terms of an online course is the way I wish I had my internship program laid out, right? It's just like, as I was going through it, and I'm a giant nerd apparently, because I had read every article at least twice, because it was all professional coach articles, or some I'd say middle school CrossFit material, like from like the middle period of CrossFit coaching development. And so it's stuff I give to my interns, but just the way it was laid out, and it used some, I think the old coaches development course was in there, which we've also tried to like crib from for our internship program. But I wish I could just like, I could be the assessor and take my staff through that. And that's something I'm looking at doing, is like, how can I set this up, a mini version of this for my staff who don't have the L3 yet? And I want to take them through it, just because the way it's laid out in just the 3 modules, I think was a very clever way of kind of introducing all of the aspects of coaching to someone who has their L2 or their L3, or the way that we coach at our gym. Like the way it was laid out is like, these are the standards our coaches are supposed to follow. And having this like a clear course that everyone could do would be super convenient for them. So I thought the coursework was really well done in that regard.
Yeah. So like, not only that, it's like when someone signs up for the current level 4, at the very least, they're going to be pulling a ton of value, both in the intangibles of coaching, but the tangible deliverables that come from the course. Like, again, you don't have to make something hard for the sake of making it hard. It can be valuable and like making people better. And really, Duby, what you were saying earlier about like the CrossFit way, it's like, really, we're just, and that's why one thing I've always appreciated with CrossFit is just the use of the word effective or ineffective, right? Is like, and my assessor, you know, a few of their feedback was just like, hey, this is very stylistic, but I'm going to give it to you anyway, because they could tell us kind of where I was at with it. I'm like, no, I think I can definitely do that. But like, we're looking at taking something that's good, and could it be more effective, right? And so for my first video, I went over by 6 minutes. I had to cut the workout short, so I didn't properly assess where my people were and gave them effective scaling options. Well, guess where I went wrong? In my general warm-up. You know, and
so that snowball effect, right? That you would never see in drills,
or even just like to say, like, if I had done that class and felt good about it, but knowing where I went wrong, it's like, if that was the pass or fail, again, like we want, it's like I don't have an opportunity to be better, where now my assessor's like, there's some really good bones here, but hey, dial your teaching back, replan your warm-up to be more effective, so that you can assess for threshold training. Like, you started, but you weren't there entirely. And guess what? Now you have another crack at it. And the whole point about the feed, because I think someone's new to getting feedback. Feedback is right. And that becomes the first challenge for some folks listening to this.
I think that's it. Like, I mean, the greatest tip, right, we could give, because everyone is different. Everyone's at a different journey. How do you prep? Everyone's different. But the number one thing you need to be ready for, which I know you two are very good at, is you need to be ready to receive feedback. Like, you need to be ready to be told that it's possible to do stuff slightly differently, that it's not an evaluation or a judgment, right? Like, you're truly just there to bounce ideas with people that have the luxury to see your class from an outside perspective, right? And that's huge.
And I will just say, like, exactly, for some folks it may be experienced, but I'll give everyone the ultimate cheat code. When you do your second one, all your assessor is going to be looking for is, did you implement the feedback? Like, you want to win at it, just implement the feedback and practice it. You know what I mean? Like, that's really what any feedback is about, is it should be tangible, which, again, the people giving it are going to be professional feedback givers. But just, you know, I think the value, I know Thom and I both work with the same outside mentor in Joe Maisley, and Joe's just constantly like, all right, here's your feedback from last week. Okay, let's see if you did it. Like, the rest just fills in the meat from there. Thom, would you agree?
Yeah, I definitely agree. And I think just speaking to feedback, I think working with all of the L4 assessor and the mentors I've had previously, P, currently Joe, just getting feedback teaches you how to give feedback. And so what's interesting is, like, I've had 3, I'd say, with the assessor, 3 coaching mentors, essentially. They've all had very different styles of giving feedback.
Yeah.
And you can kind of see what jives with you the best, what's the most effective for you. But you also, like, because if you're an affiliate owner with staff, or you're responsible, if you're a head coach responsible for coaching development, you're going to have to learn to give feedback in different ways to people. And so just learning the different ways to give and receive feedback, because as Matt mentioned, or as Dubreucq mentioned, Matt, you and I are probably pretty used to getting feedback, but just learning to give it is very useful. And I found that like my assessor, great at giving feedback in terms of like making it almost like a learning experience, pleasant, actionable, simple, just like coaching, right? It was like layered coaching, simple feedback, and all my mentors are good at that. But I think if you are a head coach or an affiliate owner and you the ability to learn how to give feedback is something that isn't really taught. And giving feedback, I think, especially if you're in a position where you have the responsibility for developing other coaches, might be where the biggest benefit of the L4 process comes. Because just as we talked about, there's video, there's like, hey, here's some layered stuff. And I think that I found that teaching the things I've learned over the years to my staff has both made me retain it better, but also has had like the same level, if not more, impact on their coaching.
Absolutely. And I mean, so we could sit and like reminisce about what was, but in a way, so it's cool. Like in a way, it sounds like CrossFit has taken both the formal and informal feedback from the previous level 4 and implemented it into this new version, where I think it's fair to say that the new version has way more opportunities exponentially to make the CrossFit community and especially the affiliate community better overall. And I've been kind of reminiscing over that as well. I was like, you're doing it in the place that you do it in every day, to the people you do it every day. And if you care about passing the level 4, you have to provide these people that you're familiar with for years more value. And it's like, that's a win for everyone. And that's what's exciting about it. So in wrapping up, we'll go to you, Thom, then Dubreucq finish off. What's exciting you about this as you work through
I think just the ability to have, like, if I have a staff member who has their L3 or even their L2, just like Dubreucq said, getting them into this process as soon as possible. And also like, when I have a little bit more time, I am going to go and take a look at how they kind of did some of that online stuff and just looking at how we do our kind of coaching development program internally. Just because like I said, learning to give feedback and learning to teach coaches is something that you don't like. There's right now, or at least up until now, there's been no path to really kind of working on that. And this is a really good way to get you more comfortable giving feedback to others, I think. And I think that is probably the biggest benefit in terms of from me, is just like anytime I get that, if that makes sense.
Absolutely. Dubreucq, for you, you have multiple kind of hats in this ring as an affiliate owner, a seminar staff, an overall hyper of the Canadian CrossFit crowd. But but I think you are fair in giving fair kind of examples and not just like beating the company drum, so to speak. So what excites you now, having been a part of this?
Like I said, why I'm so excited about the level 4 is that I truly see it as a pivotal tool for affiliate owners. Like before, all the levels, and even to a certain point, no, level 1, level 2 were very valuable for the affiliates, right? And that's why we see a lot of affiliate owner even paying part of it or the totality of. Then the level 3 starts to be a little bit of a personal quest, right? Because it's like, you know a lot, but do you know how to apply it, right? Like you prove you know a lot. And it starts to be like the gym owners start to be, okay, well, you know what? Show me by paying your way and like doing this education, that you want more. And that's kind of like the value for the affiliate owner. But now with that new level 4, I mean, I'm going to start like an account right now to be able to, pay for it. Because like right now, like there's still a great personal quest, because just like Thom said, like if you're at the level 4, you're someone that truly values that lifestyle of being a coach and that culture and it's like it's a good part of your life. It's not necessarily your entire life because family and all that, but like it's a big part of your life. So for sure it's a personal quest. But now I could almost argue that I want it more for my coaches than they're gonna want it as an affiliate owner. Like now it becomes like even more value for the affiliate owner.
Yeah.
And that's what I'm fired up about.
Yeah,
right? Like,
I agree with that. Like I'll pay for anyone's L4. In the past, we'll pay for the L2. We'll pay for your L2 because I think it's very valuable. You get a bonus for passing the L3, but we don't pay for it because it doesn't have the same application. And then I had talked about doing like some reimbursement for the old L4, but I was like, I can't pay for this whole trip out to right, like this trip out to wherever because we're up in Canada, and unless we bring someone in. But this L4, like I'll happy to pay for any of my staff members who want to do it because I think it's a huge value to them.
Yeah. And that's what's cool. And I said to one of my part-time coaches, I was like, hey, so I think you should be doing the level 4. And she's like, I knew this conversation was coming. Like, right. And I think to anyone who's interested viewing from afar, you should be nervous because it's very exciting. But guess what? You get to film a video and then you get to have someone as part of the CrossFit team say, here's where you are at right now. We now have 6 months to get you where you need to be. Let's go. And that's the beauty. And again, 6 months to 2 more sessions, you're free to get outside feedback in that time frame. Thom and I are both rushing, we're both going unbroken on this. I was hoping to get my response email. How poetic would that be? I'm waiting my results email and it still hasn't come. I thought it would be
poetic. I was like,
this
morning, I was like, oh, maybe I'll look him up on the trainer directory just to see if I could jump the gun before he had a chance to announce it to me.
Yeah. But no, but truly, like, for folks a little bit more into the process is you can work through it and even make it a team effort. And I think it's a win for everyone. So get on that wait list and let's go. And on that note, 3, 2, 1, time.